Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is episode number 13, lucky number 13,
right,
of Geeks Drop the Gauntlet. My name is J-Rad, as always, and this is...
Tom Flashson.
Tom Flashson? All right.
Yeah. I didn't come up with a name.
In today's episode, we are going to be ranking all 8 of the live-action Spider-Man movies that have come out to date. These will be Tobey Maguire's 3 movies, the trilogy, Andrew Garfield's twinilogy of Spider-Man movies called Twinilogy of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and then Tom Holland's trilogy as well. Are there more on the horizons? Maybe, sounds like it, definitely, it's Spider-Man. We also will not be diving into the animated versions. And the reason for that is I think they really hold a high special place in all our hearts.
It's just going to be number 1
we
and
know,
number 2.
We know what ranking they're going to be. So let's just stick to live action.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. My web swingers are ready, so here's dirt in your eye.
Ow! God! All right, let's swing into action.
Fly. Up,
go
up,
web,
and away,
go.
web.
Okay, this is dumb. Let's get into it. All right, so what we figured would be kind of fun is we both don't know each other's rankings, so we're going to go from 8 to 1.
All right.
When we call out the rankings, so for example, we'll start, with number 8, obviously. We're going to go, okay, our number 8 ranking is, and then we both say the movie at the same time. And if we're awesome, if we're correct, then we both get a sip of delicious Coke that we spiked with some, no, I'm just kidding, just delicious Coke. If we're wrong, we argue and yell.
All right.
All right, here we go. Let's try it. Here we go.
Flip this table.
Do you have your rankings ready? I just saw the phone was black. I'm not looking.
I know what it is. Okay, here we go. The first one's easy.
Oh, I took a sip. Hopefully we're right on this one. Sorry. Hopefully we're right on this one. Okay, here we go.
If we're not, you have a problem.
Yeah. Here we go. Number 8 is 3, 2, 1.
Spider-Man 3.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3.
Bully Parker is just...
Bully Parker. Now, you know what's awesome, though? And I applaud the movie in this way, is it has given birth to some amazing memes.
Oh, yes.
I love the memes out there. There's a YouTuber, maybe it's one person, maybe it's multiple people that do this, I don't know. But I saw this YouTube video where Bully Maguire beat the out of Winter Soldier from Captain America vs. Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard. It was amazing. So...
Well, and even the animated dance in the first Into the Spider-Verse where he does a Bully Maguire.
That was amazing. So,
God.
So there was some good things about it, and we just mentioned them. So,
that's it. We're done here.
No, it was kind of convoluted. I just remember my biggest issue with it, and this is it, and I won't go into super detail. My biggest issue was love Venom. I was a huge Venom fan, and going into it, I was so excited. And then I watched the movie and how it transpired and how Venom was portrayed and how the suit was. And
I didn't like the carbon, the kind of graphite color suit with like the same look as the other Spider-Man suit. I wasn't a big fan.
That's the only difference. That exactly was what I was looking for.
Yes, this.
And I was super excited for it. Didn't like that. And you know what's funny too? And this is just personal preference. That's all it is. I wasn't a fan of, forgot his name, but the guy who played Eddie Brock.
Oh, Topher Grace.
Topher Grace. I'm just not a huge fan of him. It's nothing bad, he's a decent actor.
He was meant to be kind of a reflection of Peter Parker, and it was a departure from the comic books.
It was. It just didn't sit well with me. And then you've got...
He wasn't threatening.
Sandman thrown in there. You've got there was just...
Sandman, I felt like was a good bad guy.
Yeah,
honestly.
but there wasn't enough of him.
No, and
that was the whole point.
He was that sympathetic bad guy, and then I don't know what they did with him at the end.
But we'll get into him later too.
Yeah.
All right, so there we go. We've agreed.
I took my sip already.
I get extra sip.
Running off at the mouth.
I get extra. Oh Jesus! All right, shots thrown. Or take it. Whatever. Let's move on to number 7. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Number 7. 3, 2, 1.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Did you look at my list?
No, you looked at mine. Mine's been sitting here the whole time.
So Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield is number 7 on my list. I will be the first to admit that I like Andrew Garfield.
I like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Yeah. I thought he was fantastic. And he follows more of kind of the ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes, that's right, yes. So I like the movie. I don't have any major gripes about it when I saw it. I didn't leave the theater going, or anything, because that's the face I had when I left Spider-Man 3. I didn't. So honestly, from here moving forward, I don't have any issues. Like, there's nothing glaring where I'm like, that was a bad choice. There's certain things where I'm like, I wish they would have did that slightly different. But moving forward, all these movies are amazing. In fact, honestly, all 8 are good in terms of...
Or spectacular even.
Spectacular Spider-Man. But they're all good. And I want to make that statement that we're ranking from 8 to 1, but this is one of my favorite characters of all time. And did they do a decent enough job to where I never left the theater and I said, that is hot garbage. I hate it. Spider-Man 3 was close. But I didn't say that. And it's because, I do love the character and I love all 3 actors that portrayed him.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
for different reasons.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
So that's number 7. Do we want to go to number 6?
Yep.
Because we've got to come up on one. So here we go. And this may be a hot take. Here we go. Number 6 in 3, 2, 1. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh shit! I went with the first Spider-Man.
First Spider-Man. Okay.
So I like Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, but he wasn't my favorite casting initially, and he put a lot of work into that first movie, and like especially with that like catching scene with like the tray and everything. But I just wasn't.
Even?
Yeah,
he put a lot of work in.
He like when you see that transformation of him from nerd Peter Parker to where he's like bulked up, like he had some muscle. I wasn't just gripped with it, and like this is gonna like get me yelled at.
Yeah.
So feel free to
I'm ready.
Feel free to flame on in the comments, but
I'll do it for you right now.
I did not like the look of Green Goblin. It looked like he was wearing pajamas with armor on, and I was like,
I can give
he
that
looks
to you.
Dumb, and I really liked.
I liked his helmet.
Yeah,
I liked the face. The helmet was cool.
And I thought that he was well played, but he just looked dumb, and I just couldn't get past that.
I was gonna say that his acting, Norman Osborn portrayed by Willem Dafoe, spot on casting.
Yeah, nobody else could have played it.
Willem
Dafoe has that like creepy, terrifying, like just intelligent, like Joker or Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe's the man.
Oh yeah. Just that one scene where they're sitting at the dinner table together after Thanksgiving or during whatever. They were doing the meal together, and that's when Norman puts 2 and 2 together and sees the cut on Peter's arm. I just thought the way he portrayed, and you can almost see that second personality, twist in his brain and everything, and the way he portrayed it was awesome.
The duality in the mirror and everything.
Yes.
It was good, but there were elements of it that I
agree.
Couldn't get behind.
I understand.
But like you said, every movie from here on out is still a good movie.
I put Spider-Man Homecoming here, not because it was bad again, but I have to rank them somehow. And I put it at number 6 just because for a debut Spider-Man movie in the Marvel universe, I felt, again, a slight disappointment. Not great, but I felt for its own introduction, they introduced him in Civil War. But in this movie, I was like, this is a Spider-Man movie. Whoa! And I went into it and I felt they had a heavy reliance on Tony Stark, a heavy reliance on Iron Man saving the day. Not Spider-Man's, but Iron Man. A heavy reliance on other outside characters than Spider-Man. And to me, that just kind of dampened it a little bit for me, is because I wanted to see Spider-Man fail on his own. And he did in the movie, but I'm just saying, like, there was that whole sequence with the boat, and if it wasn't for Tony Stark, a bunch of people would have died. And it was like...
Yeah, they would have gotten wet.
There was at least 3 people that didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
I saw it. There's
Spider-Man
like this kid.
could have carried them.
There was this kid, and I was like, you don't look like you can swim.
You're an infant.
You're like -2. And still in the womb, but point is I just thought that there was a reliance on Tony Stark, and then like Tony gives him his first suit. He didn't even create it. I know there's homemade suits, but my point is his first real Spider-Man suit wasn't even his. Tony gives it to him essentially. I just felt there was a little bit too much reliance on the Iron Man aspect.
So here's what bumped it up higher in the ranks for me, because I agree that like the next probably 3 or 4 that we go through, it could be anything.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like our top 2 are probably going to be the same ones, but these middle ones are going to be kind of odd. But to me, I am going to judge a Spider-Man movie on the villain, And Vulture might be the best villain in all the Spider-Man movies. You relate to him.
Vulture
You
was
actually you want him to beat the crap out of some of the people in there. Like, you want him to get money. Like, you like his family.
Yeah.
Like, there's everything about him that you're just like, you're just a touch away from
Casting
actually
was great.
being that. Oh, Michael Keaton is amazing
was
in
great.
everything he's
Yes.
in. I mean, we've even discussed that he's the best Batman. So, like, I can't put Michael Keaton's performance at, what is it, 5?
We're at 6.
6. I can't put it at 6.
Okay.
I just can't.
I get you.
He was just too good. And, like,
I feel it.
where, like, Green Goblin looks like he's in PJs with some armor on top of it, like, I thought Vulture's costume looked terrifying.
Vulture was cool.
It was awesome.
It was cool.
And
a
it
realistic take, because I would be
functional.
honest, in the comics, I don't really like that this old, and I get it, his suit augments his ability, but, like, I don't like Adrian Toomes being what is he, 70, 80 years old?
He's on the verge of death,
He's on
like
the verge
Aunt
of
May
death.
the entire
you
time.
take the suit off of him, he's like, and it's like I just never envisioned that, because they go to blows, and you have Parker landing a punch on his jaw.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have super strength. He would dislocate that thing into the next week.
Just pushing down his wheelchair.
So that was hard. So having Michael Keaton's portrayal with the suit, with the and the way they explained the suit and the way they explained how he got some of the stuff, I thought it was really cool. So yes, I agree.
Plus, you get an introduction
Villain
of
cool.
Scorpion briefly. The end credit scene was super cool.
Yeah.
And I loved the introduction of
even touch on it
MJ. I love the introduction of Ned Leeds.
Yes.
They played into a lot of those characters in Peter Parker's high school life that, like, the other movies hadn't really even touched on all that much. I like that they even updated the type of bullying. Like, you get that musclehead dude that's just beating the crap out of people in high school. I don't know how often that happens anymore. Yeah. But you get the kind of cyberbullying and, like, little jabs and stuff like that. And that was what you got out of Flash Thompson in Homecoming. It felt like more of a realistic level of bullying.
I do agree. And one thing I will admit is Tom Holland's casting. He looks like a teenager.
Yeah, he does.
So I'll give it that.
But he's like 27.
But there's reasons why some of these other movies ahead beat it out for me.
We'll go
to it. Number 5. 3, 2.
I got this.
3, 2, 1. Number 5 is
Amazing
Spider-Man 1.
2.
Okay, so there's my Spider-Man 1. I put it at number 5. I put it just ahead of Homecoming because, like you reasoned the villain, I also reasoned that there's 2 big reasons. Number 1, and I think that's for both of us, but number 1 for me, obviously the first Spider-Man on screen I saw in the big screen, right? Amazing, because I was such a Spider-Man fan, and watching that on screen, I was like, whoa, like, it's amazing. So, and especially watching it as a little kid, I think it was 2000, 2001, 2002, 2001, somewhere in there. So I was like 11 years old, 12 years old, and it's like, you're just like, this is Spider-Man. And then having Norman Osborn portrayed by Willem Dafoe, the way he played it, I will agree with you that the costume was iffy. To me, it was like, love the helmet. I did like the helmet. But then as the guy who played him on the inside, oh my God.
His back and forth in the mirror, where like the duality of it was just
awesome.
Incredible.
And even the final fight scene was dark. And at the time, for comic book movies, especially ones I was allowed to watch, because there was Punisher at the time, there's stuff like that. But, as a kid, I was kind of, grew up religious family. I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated stuff. So this being a PG-13 movie was kind of dark. And I was like, man, this is a dark Spider-Man. And like Norman gets impaled on his own goblin. Yeah. That's like the comic. Like, oh my God, and I just, it held a special place to my heart. As I got older and I watched it more, I still had to put it at number 5 because of that reason. But I do have some issues with it. Number 1 is, my biggest issue is you look at Tobey Maguire and you're like, dude, you look like you're in your 30s. Like, stop. You can't pretend. I don't know what world it is, but you are not 17, 18 years old.
He's all, hey, I'm going to hit puberty here pretty soon. When I do, look out.
But that being said, that was one of the negatives I could think of. I really did like most everything else. Even, I'm not a biggest fan of Kirsten Dunst either. I thought she played MJ
was fine.
okay.
Yeah,
no issues. Overall, the story I thought was good. I loved Norman figuring out he was Spider-Man. I loved just that whole idea was awesome, and they even nodded back to one of my favorite comics of Gwen Stacy dying, where he gave him a choice, drop both, and obviously he was able to save both. But like, I just like there was little callback. It just
there was.
It held a special place.
Although
in my heart.
all the movies have had that.
No, agreed.
At some element.
But that was the first one, and watching that on screen and seeing those callbacks to like the comics, it held a special place in my heart. So I put it number 5.
And that's true. Like you forget about how like the magic of the whole thing just overtakes you. Like this was the first like. I have loved Spider-Man my whole life. It's Spider-Man and Superman. That's it. Like everything. Yeah. My whole life is those two. And no. But so like you get the X-Men movies and everything, which were great. But to see Spider-Man on screen, like the way he moved and fought and talked and all that stuff, like it was like I love Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I watched all those episodes. The cartoon, I bought them. Yeah. And so like. I love it. So like I did forget about the emotion. It just kind of overcame me in that because it was just so cool to see it like on the screen. And I didn't really take that into account because like here I am all freaking jaded at this point. I'm like, no, it doesn't hold up. It's not good.
Right.
Like, I need to get that out of my head. But so the reason I picked Amazing Spider-Man 2, why I put it lower. And I need to emphasize again that Andrew Garfield is a fantastic Spider-Man.
Yes.
And a lot of my criticisms for Amazing Spider-Man 2 are what like Kevin Feige's criticisms were of it, where we all see these leaked notes that came out of Sony where they had submitted this script to Kevin Feige because he offered to kind of help out a little bit, and he had these criticisms like making him cry a lot, makes it really difficult to relate to him, that people have a tendency to kind of distance themselves from those kind of public shows of emotion, like bringing up his parents might not necessarily be the best idea, like pouring all their money into a secret trapdoor in a subway station was kind of far-fetched and weird. There was too much going on where you've got Green Goblin and Electro. You've got the Rhino surfacing. You've got some mysterious figure who has like a collection of the Sinister Six walking through some hallway, and you've got all this stuff going on. It was too much for people to digest. It's set up too much. I don't think there was a clear direction after that where they were like, I don't think we're going to make a Spider-Man 3. I think we're going to do another reboot. And like, because they were trying to hold on to the rights for Spider-Man and like it underperformed at the box office. So there was a lot that was worthy to criticize in that. But at the same time, I thought Electro was cool as hell. I even thought that like the development of Green Goblin, like Harry into the Green Goblin was kind of cool. I would have preferred to see the Norman Osborn Green Goblin, honestly, but the Harry Osborn Green Goblin was cool because you've got that friendship that you feel the betrayal, and then it's like a genetic medication kind of thing that leads to his downfall. And then, of course, like the dropping of Gwen Stacy, you're like, oh, that was brutal. Like that was so hard to watch on screen. And then and then later movies only like increased the emotion of that particular scene and just kind of enhanced it all. So like if I take Amazing Spider-Man for what it was, without like a later movie helping that out, I can't put it much higher than that. Just where I put it, just because of all of those problems that if they would have streamlined it and kind of, I hate to say that Kevin Feige's right on all of it, but he was right on all of it. And if they would have listened to him and kind of changed some notes and streamlined the movie, it would definitely be a higher rank in my opinion, but they ran with it and there were some problems.
I can definitely see that for sure. I can see it. You're wrong, but I can see it. All right, so we're on number 4.
Okay.
All right, so number 4. If you're ready, it's 3, it's 2, it's 1. It's Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yep.
Okay, so that's my number 4. This one, for me, I thought it was better than Homecoming just because, and again, my biggest issue with Homecoming was the reliance on other characters. This one, it was kind of, there was other characters involved, but it was a little more of a Spider-Man story. It was him, dealing with his issues and going on vacation and things going wrong, and it was kind of when I watched that, it was more of like, okay, this is what I was looking for. You know, where Tony takes a back seat, a big back seat. And,
well, he was dead.
Well, yeah, that's a big back seat. And it's like he gets to push forward with his thing. Yeah, there was Happy is involved, but it's more Spider-Man is Spider-Man, and he has to deal with his own problems, his own issues, his own deal with his own consequences to his actions. Now, I know that there were some interesting things in that movie when it came to like I don't know why, but I wasn't a big fan of those glasses.
No, I like them.
I thought it was dumb that you're going to give.
I was going to get a better pair of glasses
to
look exactly
like it. I just kind of thought it was kind of dumb. I mean, I get where Tony was going, but you give him like this, I don't know,
super weapon.
This super weapon, and then he nonchalantly just kind of gives it to Mysterio. I mean, granted, he got manipulated, but it's like, to me, it was just kind of funny to think about when you watch it, and you're like, you gave a kid a super weapon? So anyways, make a long story short, overall, I enjoyed that. It is my second favorite Tom Holland movie, obviously.
It's my least favorite Tom Holland movie. There are a few reasons. Number one, Spider-Man and Peter Parker are successful because they can live in absolute anonymity. They live in a city of 13 million people. Like, nobody is ever going to figure out who Spider-Man is. Now, you get into Far From Home, and Peter Parker's in Venice with the class trip. And Spider-Man's in Venice.
No, Spider-Monkey.
Okay. Yeah, how did that happen? And
it's
then
Night Monkey.
Right, Night Monkey. And then they go like somewhere else. I can't even remember where they went.
I don't know where they went.
And so like
he
all
shows
of a sudden,
up.
Peter Parker's in Rome, Spider-Man's in Rome. You're like, what is happening?
Like, let's put two and two
I just
together.
use Rome. I don't think that's actually one of the locations they were. But like, that really kind of destroys the anonymity.
Mary Jane finds out.
Well, yeah, but let's be honest. Like, there are 13 people to choose from,
I know.
and like you just look for the one that's about Tom Holland's height. You're like, Peter Parker's 5'6", Spider-Man's 5'6", and they sound the same. Interesting.
You're right.
So like, it really limited things. So I didn't like how it was the diminished anonymity. I also like, they tease that you're gonna see like Molten Man and Sandman and Hydro Man, and you're like, holy crap, this is legit. And like, they even have like toys that say this is Hydro Man versus Spider Man and all that stuff. And so you're just ready for it. Yeah. And they're all illusions. And there was like a point in that where they had this conversation that it was problematic. Whenever he had the conversation, you're like, this is going to be used against him. And he's like, would you like us to execute the program? Yes, execute them all. You're like, why would you say it that way? That's weird. You just say, yes, execute the program. Yeah. Like, and so it was weird.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked him coming into his own with the spider sense. Yeah. And I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was amazing. He did a great job. And something that not a lot of people know is that Jake Gyllenhaal appears in the background.
Yeah, in one of the scenes.
4 different scenes where he's just like a random shopper in the airport that they walk past. And like, it is genius that they did that. And I also love, and I love the reference to the BARF unit and how that was such a betrayal, and how they bring these characters that were betrayed by Tony Stark at different points, like throughout the development of the Avengers films, and they were just enough off screen, or they were just small enough, but you would recognize them. And so like, you go back and watch those movies, you're like, I wonder if you see Jake Gyllenhaal in the background in BARF. You don't. But still, like cool. The guy that gets yelled at for Tony Stark built us in the cave with a box of scraps. That guy getting yelled at was one of them. And like, I thought that was genius. So it was really cool to see that all tied in. And like, I love the movie. It's just my least favorite Tom Holland movie.
There's plus and negatives for sure. I definitely, that's why it's middle of the pack for me. I enjoyed it. I thought the pros outweighed the cons, which is why I moved it up higher than like Homecoming, for example, was just because Homecoming was great, Miles Keaton was great, but Jake Gyllenhaal was great, Mysterio was great. I love the use of his spider sense, was amazing. One of my favorite scenes in all of comics was where things were blacked out, won't go into detail, but he had to rely fully on his spider sense. reenacted that
Yeah,
like
that was
perfectly,
cool.
and it was awesome. And then his first fight was Mysterio, where he saw the Iron Man and like he was dead, and I can't remember what else happened, and all this weird stuff is happening. I just loved the portrayal of that because that is Mysterio. That is why Mysterio is a normal human. Like he doesn't have superpowers, right? He can't lift a car up and throw it at Spider-Man,
Right.
but what he does is he can lift up.
I am going to have a drink, though.
Do it. And but what he can do is mess with his mind. And I loved the use of illusions. I was disappointed with Molten Man and Hydra Man, but I thought, in my opinion, the pros outweighed the cons when it came to the villain. Really enjoyed it. And then also, like you said, I know there were some negatives, but this was more Spider-Man having to deal with it. He had to deal with it. There wasn't anyone that came in and saved his ass. He had to deal with it. And so I did like that aspect. I actually really liked the ending too, where Mysterio kind of did the whole like, what do you call it? Changed the look of it and made it look like he was after him and then revealed his identity.
Yeah.
So going into the next movie, you're like,
this is messed up.
Yes.
And then they fixed it like that. You're like,
well,
okay.
we'll deal with that. But anyways, that was I just thought that was really cool. So that's number 4. All right, let's move on to number 3.
We're not taking a drink this time.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
Okay. Number 3 in 3, 2, 1.
Spider-Man
2.
Homecoming.
Spider-Man 2 for me is in my top 3 because of, I will say this, I thought everything was great about that movie except for one thing, and that's why it's number 3 and not number 1 or number 2. And the one thing is I have a big issue with characters that just lose their powers for no reason. And yeah, you could go into the whole he's going through all that, but you're Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like, you
I
have
don't like
the
that
powers.
either.
You are that.
Right.
You have the it's like
It just adds 20 minutes to a movie that doesn't
now,
need
granted,
it.
there's some really funny scenes. I love when he's web swinging, he
His
falls,
back,
and he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, my back!"
Yeah, it's so
that
funny.
was hilarious. But overall, it just didn't sit well with me. Now, everything else killed it. I thought Alfred Molina's
Oh, God, yes.
Doc Ock was fantastic. And even though it's 2004, some of those action scenes hold up today.
Yeah, they do. It looks fantastic.
When he's fighting on the train, amazing. The only thing you have to kind of suspend disbelief, but they do it in the comics too, and that's hard, is every time Spider-Man landed a blow on Doc Ock, I was like, you're knocked out. Like, stop it. But even in the comics, he's hit Doc Ock before, and somehow they keep fighting. So it's just like,
thing is, though,
I'm just
that,
not even
like,
going to think about it.
There is, like, Otto is a father figure to him. Like, he's not going to hit him so hard he pops his head off like a tick.
No,
Like,
but he's going to knock him out.
uh,
Because he's a human. So
maybe,
imagine
but
another
that
human
would
hitting
hurt.
him.
Yeah, but
you could
like,
knock him out.
He's gonna pull punches, but like that's that thing that they talk about, like misconceptions in movies.
Yeah.
Like James Bond would probably not even be functional with as many times as he's been knocked out and concussed and everything. Like,
shot and stabbed.
he would be like so dead. So like getting knocked out does serious damage, and it's difficult to judge. Like if Spider-Man were to hit him hard enough to knock him out, is it gonna do permanent damage?
Yeah,
he's
you're
not
right.
gonna feel good
You're
about it.
right.
So.
But on the flip side, you've got a guy who's trying to kill a bunch of people on a train. Maybe you should stop him before he did it. But yeah, I get it.
So yeah, I have Homecoming higher than you have it, and there's a few reasons for that. The biggest one being the Vulture.
Yes.
I thought he was amazing.
can understand that. For sure.
But there were some things in there where, like, the first test of strength that Spider-Man had, he was buried under rubble.
Yep.
There was a beam right there and some like cross thing, and he's just pinned under there. Like, he has one arm around that beam, and like his other arm is pinned under there.
Excuse me.
They did that shot for shot recreation of that cover, which I thought was spectacular.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think was kind of a cool transition was that Spider-Man needed to go from his introduction being like a huge deal. He played a part in like the attempted arrest of
Captain
America and Winter Soldier and everything. So they brought him in as a big gun in a big gun moment. And so he failed. An Avenger, like 100%, like at that point. And then they need to peel that back and go, okay, you're not ready to be an Avenger. You're 16. Let's just abandon you. And so he was abandoned, like that entire movie. And so he had to figure out and kind of make his
halfway
way
through.
Well,
until he made the mistake on the boat, and Tony goes, "You don't deserve that suit." And so essentially, he took the suit away because he gave it to him.
Yeah.
He had that whole speech with him on the thing, and then Peter realized, he's like, "You're not even here, are you?" Because he was in that suit and he wasn't. But the point was, up until that point, Peter thought, I have a backup. No matter what, I got a backup. And just in case. And it wasn't until that point where he was like, well, I need that suit. I'm nothing without it type deal that I think he finally got the notion, I guess, or the, how do you want to call it? He got pushed in the right direction to where I got to rely on myself. I can do this.
Well, the thing that I thought was cool about that is like, I need that suit, I'm nothing without it, is an exact reflection of what Captain America said to Iron Man in Avengers, where he was like, take off that suit, you're not anything. And so...
He's like, but you're nothing but a bottle of juice.
And I just thought that was a cool kind of growth for Tony Stark to then have this mentor kid. And Peter Parker was abandoned by a father figure that he respects very much. And that. So, like, he's sending texts, no response. He's making phone calls, no response. He turns to, like, solving just crimes, like saving somebody from getting their bike stolen.
Cat in a tree.
Yeah, like, and he's just doing flips for people or whatever. Like, he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And he's just doing that to get some amount of recognition from a father who's abandoned him. And so, like, what they built up is that exasperation at that point where he's like, you know what? I don't give a crap what you do anymore. Like, punish me, don't punish me, talk to me, don't talk to me. I don't care anymore. And then he shows up. So, like, you get that difference. And then in the final fight, it was all Spider-Man. Like,
for sure.
He had to take him down himself with everybody else assuming everything is going to go off without a hitch because it's my technology plane and it's amazing. And like Peter Parker's full of crap anyway because he dropped the ball on a big thing. And so like Spider-Man had to take out a legitimate threat that probably would have given several Avengers a run for their money on an individual basis. And that was a good fight. And he didn't just beat him as Spider-Man. Like, he got to him as Peter Parker. And I thought that was cool also. So, like, Spider-Man Homecoming can be slept on a little bit, I think, from a critical standpoint. But the fan service that they gave to that, and then they had to pull him back from what he was introduced as. And so I thought they did a pretty good job with all that.
They did for sure, and it was good. There's some issues I'm not going to get over. And when you're saying like they introduced him as you know, this big huge gun in Civil War, they did. But even in his showing against Captain America, wasn't much. So going into this new movie,
he dropped Ant-Man like a bad habit.
Because he watched that old movie.
Because
he watched that old movie from
Empire
the 80s.
Strike Back, and then he like handed Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That was cool.
That
was cool.
And like nothing.
But even still, I guess was going into this movie originally when I walked in the theater, being like, all right, like this cool first time Marvel Spider-Man, right, under the Marvel banner. Let's see a Spider-Man story, and I just felt it kind of wasn't just a Spider-Man story. And then I realized
Tony Stark's involvement was significant.
Well, but I realized moving on that it can't be. You're in the Marvel universe now. You've got other characters around you that are more popular than you right now on screen. So you've got Tony Stark. You've got all these other popular characters. They'd almost be dumb not to try and include them because that's going to bring a wider draw. It's going to bring all this kind of stuff. So once I more accepted that, I think I enjoyed it more maybe. But even the third movie, which sounds like it's in our top two, even the third movie had a bunch of other characters in it. So once I just had to accept that. And once I accept that, then it's fine. But especially moving forward now, maybe we're gonna have a Spider-Man movie where it's a Spider-Man movie. And what I mean by saying that is we're gonna have a whole movie where maybe a character is mentioned, but he's not seen. And it's one movie where it is Spider-Man only in New York dealing with Spider-Man problems with nobody else around. And the comics I grew up reading were Spider-Man alone.
I think we're close to that, honestly, because like you raised an important point with like other characters being more popular in the movie universe, and that like the scope of a movie is important. Like when you have Winter Soldier. Like, that was a Captain America movie. There was some espionage, and there were some things happened that were pretty big, but everything that unfolded in that was a Captain America-level
movie.
Threat. And there wasn't enough time to say, Thor, we need your help. Or Iron Man, we need your help, or something like that. It never came to that.
It was only Black Widow. And, of course, Nick Fury.
And she was included, but, like, Captain America's the hero of that story. Captain America was the most powerful one, and like they were there to help Captain America.
Right.
So like,
and Falcon, of course, but
yeah. So
he didn't
like
even have the suit, I don't think. Till the very
everybody
end.
that was in that, it was a Captain America movie,
Yes.
and it unfolded quickly. Now, if you have a transport barge loaded full of people sinking, and Spider-Man's trying his best to try to keep this thing, and it gets out that like Spider-Man's trying to save a couple thousand lives on this transport that's sinking rapidly, like in New York City, somebody's gonna respond. Like, and you know that Tony Stark is gonna be keeping a close eye on him just because Tony Stark brought him into this.
Absolutely.
And I think he even feels some guilt around it because he's like, I just brought a 16-year-old into an adult fight.
True.
And so like, in his effort to distance Peter Parker from all of this, I think he's going to really keep a close eye because he knows he can't.
I agree. You also bring up a statement, though, that kind of leads me into laughing on the inside and outside. Is that how many movies, though, have we watched that's set in a universe and a city-level threat or something happens, and the one character is just dealing with it with himself, and you're like,
right.
wouldn't the other the other established heroes show up?
Well, and a good like a well-written movie, like accounts for that,
right?
And that's why Winter Soldier works so well.
Yeah.
But there are several like fights that would go down there.
I even liked I can't remember what movie it is now off the top of my head. It was one of the Marvel movies where they're like they talked about something about the big guns, and it's like Hulk's off world. Or no, Hulk's I can't remember, and Thor's off world.
Hulk's missing in action. Hulk's off world.
Thor's off world.
What would you do if you had lost two nuclear weapons?
Yeah, like that. I like
yeah.
that they brought that up.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, they didn't show those characters, obviously. Yeah. But whenever you're like, whoa, why wouldn't Thor? Oh, yeah, that's right. He mentioned. You know what I mean? So it's like easily to dismiss.
Yeah.
So I like when writers do that. But yeah, okay. So we killed our number 3. This is where we're definitely going to be.
We're going to be off.
We're going to be off at least by one. It sounds like we have one that's going to match, maybe, and then one that's we're off. So number 2 on the list. Are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Spider-Man
Amazing
2.
Spider-Man 2.
Okay, Spider-Man 2 for me. Again, like Alfred Molina.
He killed it.
Killed it. Like,
killed it.
Probably the single best Spider-Man villain in all the Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
With Vulture being a close second, in my opinion. And Alfred Molina, he is such a good actor that when he is the threatening Dr. Octopus, he is threatening. He is scary. Like the arms are a real problem. Like in comics, you never really get how difficult it would be for Spider-Man to take out something that's like throwing 4 arms at you and then throwing punches on top of it. And then like those arms are strong. They're like fast and they're tough, and so
got spikes.
Yeah, so like you never really get how much of a threat that is, and then you see it in action, you're like, he's a problem.
Yeah.
But then you see like Otto Octavius, and he is that like caring father figure again for Spider-Man, who has probably some of the best father figures, who either turn evil or are good guys in movies. And Alfred Molina kills it as that caring father figure. And like, I love to see even those times where he overrides that chip that's controlling him a little bit because of it. And like, it's just. I just love that movie. Like,
and even though he had a chip in his brain that was kind of overriding his mental process a bit, he still wasn't the typical, I'm a bad guy, I'm evil, so therefore I'm a bad guy. Or I'm a bad guy, therefore I'm evil, and that's all there is to it. I'm just bad.
He's not evil for evil's sake.
Right. I'm just bad, that's all there is to it. Need a hero to stop me.
Yeah.
He had a purpose, a reason, and while, some of the things he did to achieve that, the end result... Yes, it would have killed people because of what happened, but that wasn't what he was trying to do.
Right.
He wasn't trying to construct a bomb and destroy the city. No, he wasn't. And everything he did, like rob a bank or like even the train sequence, he didn't go to the train, like literally get on the train to kill the people. No, he literally ripped the thing out to he, in his mind, I think was like, well, Spider-Man will stop this train, we'll save him, but I'm going to rip this out and focus you on this so I can get the hell out of here. He robbed the bank because he needed money to set up his experiment.
Yeah.
So like everything he did wasn't because I'm evil, I'm gonna rob a bank. I'm evil, I want to control the world, so I'm gonna create a bomb to threaten the world. No, and that's why I loved him as that character, and he played it so well. So I love that. For me, Amazing Spider-Man 2 has to be number 2, and there's multiple reasons. You mentioned a bunch of reasons why Kevin Feige didn't like it, the script and all that. And you know what? I can't refute that. There's a lot of issues with the movie, but what it did well, it did amazingly well. And I will say this, love Tom Holland, love Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield in the suit, especially Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. That suit is my favorite on-screen suit.
That's my favorite on-screen suit as well.
And the way he moves in the suit, the way they portrayed just the overall portrayer. Yeah, the portrayal of how he moves in the suit and does that, to me, you don't beat Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, Tom Holland's great, even in the suit, it's great. He's a gymnast, essentially. He does flips and all that. But to me, how I think of Spider-Man and how he moves in this almost unagile, how do you say it? He moves awkwardly, but super agile still. But it's an awkward movement. And I just absolutely love the way they portrayed that.
Insect-like.
Yes, and they portrayed that in Amazing Spider-Man 2. They also portrayed Peter, or we'll call it Spider-Man, he throws quips out left, right, and center in the comics. He taunts people left, right, and center. He's always saying something, always trying to play mind games with them, and a lot of times it's funny. I think they killed that, and he was always saying stuff, like when Jamie Foxx showed up, and he's another plus. I thought Jamie Foxx played Electro awesome. And then some of the scenes in that movie were the best scenes in all of Spider-Man movies. And I don't mean overall movie, but certain scenes, Gwen Stacy dying at the end, was fantastic. I don't know if I've ever been in a Spider-Man movie. I will say a superhero movie, because Infinity War affected me. I've never been in a Spider-Man movie where something affected me that hard. Even the next movie we'll talk about, which clearly is our number 1, there's something bad that happens in there. Didn't feel the same as Gwen. Because that sequence and them actually having the balls to show it and show her smack her head like that, and that sickening
Plus
thud.
Emma Stone, who doesn't love her?
Right. And that sickening thud and just his realization and him going down there and he couldn't save her.
And he did everything. And then like the web expanding like a hand, like to catch her.
Dude, it was fantastic. And there's certain scenes that are just absolutely fantastic. There's a scene in there too where Jamie Foxx is in Times Square, Times Square, and like shit is going down, and he accidentally, by the way, I think, can't remember, he like loses control or something, but he electrifies one of the stadium post things around there, and it's a slow motion scene of Spider-Man going through his progression to save people and do different things. And the way that it's all slow motion, he just fires a web and pulls this guy's hand away and jumps over here, and like everything was slow motion, but for him, he was moving so fast. And I just thought the way they portrayed that was awesome. It also was one of the first portrayals in my mind of showing his strength, because I love the part where there was a car that got flipped up, and I think Electro did something, and he just catches the car and sets the car down. And almost showed no
strain or anything.
Like that. He just catches the car and puts it down. He's like, whoo! Even in the new movie, in Homecoming, they show a sequence of Spider-Man stopping a car up against the thing, and it looks like he struggles to put that thing down. Spider-Man is a 10-ton character. Most compact vehicles are 2-ton max. And that's why, if you're a 10-ton character, you can lift 4 to 5 times that car's weight. You could easily lift that up. That's like me being able to lift 100 pounds. So I take 20 above my head. I can do that. I can do it almost easily without straining. And they showcase that. I love that. His iconic Spider-Man movements. I just thought so many things they nailed. And then Andrew Garfield. I just like Andrew Garfield. I thought he killed it. There is a lot wrong with this movie, but from personal opinion, I have to put it high on my list. I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The things that they did right, they did really right.
And I was super sad they didn't get the trilogy. He deserved the trilogy. Because it's not his fault.
Yeah, one of the things that, like a touch that
Andrew Garfield,
I really liked.
I say he. Andrew Garfield.
One of the things that that you didn't really touch on, but I really liked, was when they were fighting in the electric, or like the electricity.
The sound?
And yeah, when he electrocuted things, it's making music, and that was so cool.
Sick.
I thought that was awesome.
That was so sick. See what I mean? Like, there were certain sequences in there. Yeah, you could say it was convoluted. You could say there was a lot going on. You say a lot of, all this stuff, and you look at the movie from outside the box, and you're like, yeah, I kind of see it. But when you kind of peek your head and you're like, but that was fantastic. That was probably the best scene in all of Spider-Man. That was amazing. Then that right there to me starts moving it up the ladder. So I had to put it at number 2.
All right, here we go. Time to take that drink. Oh, Sody.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1.
It's going to be No Way Home. So we're done here in terms of our rankings. So No Way Home was fantastic. One of the big pluses for me, and this is great because I am an Andrew Garfield fan, was actually seeing Toby and Andrew.
Yeah.
It was rumored. Was it true? It's not. Both these actors are like, dudes, no, we're not in it. Like,
I thought they did a pretty good job trying to hide it because they got called out a lot.
And then when you finally see him on screen, and especially the first time we saw it in theaters, and people were like, oh, and they scream. It was just awesome to see them on screen again. I thought same exact thing, and this is kind of where it reiterated my number 2 choice for Amazing Spider-Man was seeing him in costume. I'm like, yeah, that's the greatest costume.
Yeah.
That's the best Spider-Man costume that has been on screen.
Oh, and Andrew Garfield's redemption arc.
Oh my God. Dude, I almost cried.
Oh God. Like
I almost cried.
This gets me like emotional just retelling it, but like having MJ like fall past him and he recognizes there's nobody else that can save her, and this is the replay of probably significant trauma for him, and he catches her, and like just the
relief,
like the relief that he feels that he didn't let anybody down, and that he could do it, that he could save her, and everything. Oh God, that part, like I immediately, like I know that Tom Holland is Spider-Man moving forward. I want an Andrew Garfield third movie, and I want it after this redemption arc, and I want him to go back, and I want them to have him like go home, and he goes to his house, and he's still that dark and brooding Spider-Man, and we get that closure where he meets MJ, and even what was the girl who was supposed to play MJ in that movie?
Sharon? No,
Shailene Woodley.
Shailene
Woodley was supposed to play MJ, and that would be so awesome to have like a knock on the door or something, and it's Shailene Woodley, and she has to borrow like a cup of sugar or something.
Yes.
And then, oh God, that would be so cool.
That would be so good.
But
so good.
I hope that it happens. Honestly, I have my fingers crossed for it.
Well, and I love that they even did very mildly, but there's a point where after I'm just going to call them by their name so we know Spider-Man 1, 2, 3. Yeah. No, it's Tom. So after Tom Holland's Spider-Man loses Aunt May, which was a very sad scene. Yeah. But again, Gwen Stacy's scene hit me harder.
Yeah, it did. Well, and the theater was deadly silent when that happened to Gwen Stacy.
So, but anyway, so he's dealing with that, and Andrew was telling him about how he dealt with something, and he was pretty much saying, "I don't want you to see the ghost go. I don't want you to go down the same path I did." And he was saying, and he even mentioned, he's like, "I became dark. I stopped pulling punches. I did all this. I went down a dark path." And I was like, I want to see that.
Right, I want to see that Spider-Man too.
And show the redemption factor. Like, I want to see you finish that trilogy. That would have been amazing to see him kind of do this, and then maybe meet MJ and have this recovery and this redemption arc, and like that would have been awesome. So
well, and it would be cool to see the Sinister Six that they set up in 2, have him fight that Sinister Six in 3, but they're afraid of him because he has not been pulling punches. Like, he has been killing bad guys. Yeah. So like this Sinister Six, it would be extremely cocky fighting Spider-Man in any other universe. In this one, they're not that cocky about it. Because like maybe he killed Rhino or something like that. So like that would be a cool story. Yeah. I mean, we're
getting way off topic, but the coolest part is because 2 did such a good job with all his quips and doing all that kind of stuff. That would have been cool to see a Spider-Man who, when he's fighting and they're all expecting that and ready for it, dead silent the whole time and just mops the floor with them. Puts 3 of them in the hospital and kills one. Yeah. You're like,
well.
Okay. But anyways, let's get back to the movie real quick. I did think it was amazing seeing those 2 Spider-Men on screen. Obviously, the nostalgia killed it and hyped this movie to number 1 for me. But I can't take away from Tom Holland. I think he was fantastic in the movie. This was probably his best iteration of Spider-Man in his 3 movies. He killed it. I really liked the standout characters to me were his friends. I mean, MJ was amazing. I thought Ned took a second
Flash
step,
was even
or not
awesome.
a second step, but another step forward. I don't know, to being this awesome character. And they even teased a little thing, a couple things.
Hobgoblin.
In the comics, he's Hobgoblin. So they teased a little thing. Okay, cool. But anyways, moving forward, I thought the story almost was the biggest issue, because something to me that I found touching at the end but dumb in the beginning was the whole Doctor Strange spell to make everyone
the interruption and everything.
And he's like stopping him to do it, and he's like, wait, I want him her to remember. I want him to remember, and he's like, stop messing with this. And then it creates the issue of the world, or the issue that the world is in at the time. That to me, there was a little bit where I was like, okay. But then the end, I thought it was really heartwarming. Not heartwarming, but what do you call it? Tugged on the heartstrings. When it did happen, nobody remembered his name. And he
That was
knew
rough.
that was the right thing to do, and he did it, followed through with it, and then him at that donut shop where she worked, or wherever it was, the breakfast place, where she worked, and she had no idea.
Yeah.
It was, you could tell in his
And
face.
he gets his apartment.
Yes,
and all that
you could
stuff.
tell how down he was and everything. And while that tugged on my heartstrings a lot, I enjoyed it still. And then that last scene where he swings out of there and he's got nothing but a small little studio apartment.
And he's got like not the computer suit or anything. Yeah.
Classic suit.
Yeah.
When he swung out of there, I was like, I think moving forward, we're going to see the Spider-Man I've always wanted to see, which is him on his own.
And it's also the Peter Parker that we know that like he doesn't have any money. He struggles to pay his rent every month. Like he just goes from like whatever jobs he can pick up and like sets up his own like action shots for the paper
Spider-Man
and everything.
for the paper.
And like that's at the point that we're at with him, that he's not the billionaire player, and he doesn't have Tony Stark's money anymore to rely on.
Bingo.
Like he's gonna have to make his own way.
And I'm all for that movie.
With nobody knowing. Yeah,
I'm all for it.
I'm looking forward to it. They've put it in a really good spot, and I loved. Yeah, I'm with you. The nostalgia, like this was a fantastic movie.
And speaking of other characters like Spider-Man coming in from other universes.
Oh God.
I will say this: I want to see this new Tom Holland movie. I would love to, like we mentioned. I'd love to see Andrew's movie. It is in a different universe, right? It's in a different universe. So I'd be fine with having Tom Holland's mainline universe and watching this other universe with Andrew Garfield. Just hopefully they never intersect again. I'm gonna be honest, because the multiverse is something crazy to me. It's interesting. So speaking of the multiverse, being that we just wrapped this up here on our top rankings, and we agreed on number 1, which was crazy. That's awesome. I'm happy. The other ones, you're wrong.
It is what it is.
But,
I am not.
But that was fun. That was definitely fun. But speaking of the multiverse, next week on episode number 14 of Geeks Drop the Gauntlet, we are going to discuss the pros and cons of the multiverse, which doesn't only affect Marvel, also affects DC, doesn't only affect Spider-Man, everything, Marvel and DC. And the title for this episode is of this man's doing, and it's amazing.
I've got 99 problems, and the multiverse is all of them.
Dude, that wraps it up. That's all, folks. We're out because that was awesome. But yes, so next week we're going to delve into the multiverse. We're going to discuss pros and cons of the multiverse.
All the cons.
And how we would like to see it moving forward. How it's affected us now. And
I wouldn't like to see it moving forward.
Well, that's what I mean. We'll get into it. We'll see what happens, but that's going to be next week's episode. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun as well. And I had a lot of fun on this one.
Absolutely.
This was awesome. So for everyone that watched, we really appreciate it. If you do like our content, please do consider smashing that like and subscribe button. That greatly helps this channel. We're on a roll. We're trying to hit 600 subscribers, and obviously we're trying to hit 1,000. Past that, I do have an 1,000 subscriber giveaway that I have planned. Once we get up over 600, I'll let everyone know what that 1,000 subscriber plan is, and we'll go from there. But again, thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching, and as always, make sure, ladies and gents, to stay geeky.